Good afternoon. Welcome to GDIC's webinar for the Army's ITES-4S and Access Opportunities. My name is Cal, and I am your artificial intelligence host today. With me is Ab Vand, VP for Capture at GDI Consulting and a subject matter expert on these opportunities. Before starting, there are a few housekeeping notes I would like to mention. First, this webinar is being recorded and the link to the recording will be sent to you within 24 hours. Second, we will hold a Q&A session at the end. You can send your questions during the webinar by the chat system to the right of your window and Ab will address them at the end. Third, you can download this presentation by clicking on the link under File on the right-hand side panel on your window. We highly recommend you download the slide deck so that you can always refer back to it. So let's see what this webinar covers. We will first have a quick glimpse on the history of ITES-3S, the current ongoing contract. Then we will look at the general details of the new ITES-4S and what is new in this iteration. Next we will discuss the game changer, that is the latest development that affects both ITES-4S as well as Access, the other large Army opportunity. In continuation, we will take a look at the current access requirements and how the previous contract, RS3, has performed. Finally, before going into the Q&A session, Ab will also present you with a set of recommendations regarding how to follow up on both opportunities and be prepared for them. So, with that, I will now hand over the control to Ab to start the webinar.
Hello everyone. Thank you for participating in our webinar. My name is Ab Vand. As Cal mentioned, I'm VP for Capture at GDI Consulting. We are going to cover, initially we were going to cover ITES-4S only, but due to a RFI that was initially issued on April 17th of this last month, we decided to actually cover two opportunities, ITES-4S and Access, as they are going to be related to each other. So let me cover ITES-4S first, and to do that, let's have a look at ITES-3S, the current ongoing contract, and see how it's faring, and then based on that we can go to ITES-4S. So in terms of spending, this graph shows to the left is the amount of spent by the government per year, and to the right is the number of orders per year. So you can see that this is a healthy contract. It's been expanding each year. So for example, in 2023 there was $774 million contract awarded to different contractors under ITES-3S, and the number of orders has been increasing at the same pace. Now this contract started in 2018. You can see that there are 7 years in it, more or less. Actually, there are 6 years. So in 2018, it ended, the first 5 years of the contract ended in 2023, and they have exercised the first option year, which is 2023-2024. That's why this is how it is being shown. Moving forward, let's look at the number of, or the agencies that are using ITES-3S. Obviously, since this is by the Army is the largest spender and largest user of this contract vehicle, but other agencies are also using it, both inside DoD and outside. So the DoD administration itself, the Air Force, a little bit from Navy, they're using it, but also outside the military, GSA is using it, Homeland Security is using it, even Energy and Department of Interior and Department of Labor, but very small, obviously. So the main user remains U.S. Army as far as the agencies is concerned, but as I said, other military and non-military agencies are using small chunks of it. So let's look at the socioeconomic category, how the spending spread there. Obviously, the largest goes to total small business, but a small disadvantage and women-owned businesses also got a good chunk. $500 million for women-owned, $522 million, and $679 million for small disadvantage. But The other types of socioeconomic, such as veteran-owned or STV-OSB, 8As and Alaska Native and hub zones and others, their chunk is much smaller compared to, say, the total small business. So this is how the overall socioeconomic spending under ITES-3S looks like. And here you can see the top 20 contractors under ITES-3S. Most of them are obviously large businesses, but you can see the value of the contracts they've received so far, plus a number of orders that they've received. So this gives you an idea of what companies are more active and are receiving more contracts under this. But there are overall 135 awardees, so this is quite a big chunk of contractors, big number of contractors that are actually performing under ITES-3S. So overall information under for ITES-3S, obviously it's by US Army, IDIQ MAC, and it's about information technology services. The budget for this is $12.1 billion. And as I mentioned, and we saw, it's both for large businesses and small businesses. Now, in terms of number of awards, 52 awards were given to large businesses, the unrestricted, and 83 to small businesses initially. So overall, 135 initially were awarded under this contract, 52 large businesses and 83 small businesses. As far as the contract duration, as I mentioned, it's a 5-year base and then 4 1-year options. So overall maximum use will be 9 years. But they have to exercise that 1-year option each year to get to that. And then timing. So the solicitation was issued on Feb 2016. There were about 18 protests, if I'm not mistaken, between September and December 2016, excuse me. So eventually the award was given on September 2018. So the contract started in September 2018. The first 5-year base ended in September 2023. And they have exercised, as I mentioned, the first option year, which is 2023-2024. Okay, now having said that, let's now look at ITES-4S, what we know about it. So Information Technology Enterprise Solutions, ITES, and then services, that 4S, 4 is the iteration and S is the services. Now, because there are obviously 4H, which is hardware and other things. So Information Technology Enterprise Solutions Services, US Army IDIQ MAC. Subject is obviously Information Technology Services. Now the value or the budget for this contract is expected to be $12.1 billion. So it's not going to change, increase. This is according to the February 2024 virtual roundtable. So that's what the government said in February 2024. Everything might change, as I will mention in a minute. Set aside, obviously, both large and small. Number of awards they haven't mentioned, but remember that the previous iteration had 135 awardees. So it's expected that the same approximately number of awardees will be for ITES-4S. Now they have changed the contract duration way of doing it. So it has a 5-year base plus 1 5-year option. So when they exercise that 1 5-year option, it's going to be a 10-year contract. Okay, moving forward, let's look at the dates for this. So the latest RFI release was on April 17th, 2024, and that's the important game changer, and I'm going to get to that in a minute. So that's the latest RFI. The draft RFP was expected to drop on July 2024. Full RFP October 2024, and then award date September 27, 2027, if they will exercise all the option years for ITES-3S. Now, all these dates you're seeing might slip because of that RFI, because they might change the whole scope and everything, and I'll get to that in a minute. So just wanted you to know that this is These dates are prior to that April 17th RFI. We'll have to see if they're going to keep those dates or they're going to change completely. Okay. Now, what's new in ITES-4S? They're going to use multiple NAICS codes. There are two sets of suits, high-end and low-end, in terms of the scope of what is to be performed. 8A set-aside planning, so they're going to increase the small business goals, and agencies that are going to use ITES-4S can use this contract, this vehicle, to meet their small business goals. So essentially, ITES-4S is going to be much more friendly towards small businesses, including 8A set-asides, providing that. Now, FedRAMP standards for cloud services, this is a must, so they're going to include FedRAMP requirements. So if you're a cloud service provider, you need to abide to FedRAMP standards. I'll get to that in a minute, including CMMC. And if you're not familiar with those, we can help you on that. Now, metrics for RFP, the RFP, and as well as the RFI submissions have been improved. And this is obviously just at the RFI level. We'll have to see when the draft RFP drops, as well as the full RFP. All of these and probably many more changes will come into place. Finally, task areas under 4S, ITES-4S. There are 11 task areas: cybersecurity services, information technology services, enterprise design, integration and consolidation, network systems, operation and maintenance, telecommunication systems, operation and maintenance, business process reengineering, so that comes here too, IT supply chain management, which is a must, IT education and training. So everything about training and education also falls in here. It's not going to be a separate contract for education or training. And then intelligence automation. So all AI work, artificial intelligence, and all robotics will be under ITES-4S. And then finally, cloud services and data services. So all these 11 areas are the task areas that ITES-4S will provide task orders on, for and requirements for. So having said that, these are the basic cornerstones of ITES-4S. Let's discuss this latest development that is a game changer. Okay, so on April 17th, just last month, the U.S. Army, they had this RFI, and it said the U.S. Army is considering merging the scope of access with ITES-4S. So this is a game changer because they're going to merge two different contracts, Access and ITES-4S. We discussed ITES-4S. I'll go into the details of Access, but Access is essentially C5 ISR, that is Command Control Communication Computers, Cyber Intelligence Surveillance and Reconnaissance. So it's towards that, those types of requirements. The value of that contract is $37 billion, so 3 times larger than ITES-4S. So together they'll be it'll be $49 billion, and for Access there are currently 56 incumbents, if I'm not mistaken. So there are 2 different contracts that are going to merge. So all those dates I gave you on ITES-4S, they might change completely. The requirements might change completely. The way that they're going to actually do the selection process, that might change. So a lot of implications. So I've put some of the implications here. This is going to be a much larger contract, perhaps more competition, but it is going to be a better opportunity for sure. In terms of timing, the merging of the 2 contracts scopes will certainly delay the final release and the award. So that's something to be expected. The whole selection process and how they're going to bid it might change. I've also heard talk about use of self-scoring and the score sheet type, like Oasis or Alliant 3 and that sort of thing, Alliant 2, Alliant 3. So it might actually turn into a self-scoring type, or it might, be the traditional type that you write towards technical and past performance and that sort of thing. But essentially, we have to see how they're going to, put it together, the selection process. Now, in terms of how to follow up, you need to monitor SAM constantly, or if you're getting Deltex or other platforms that monitor these opportunities, you need to monitor for both ITES-4S and ACCESS separately, because the new posts might go under one and not the other. So make sure that you monitor both of them. And then there is you can respond to the RFI by May 3rd. So remember that you don't have many days. So do look at the RFI, and if you have input, please provide the response by May 3rd. And then essentially you do need to have a rigorous capture process in place to follow up on these two, because there are a lot of changes. You want to be prepared. So that's the latest development, and that I think will change everything completely, unless they decide for some reason not to actually merge the two contracts. Now, having said that, let's look at ACCESS as well, because that's going to be merging with ITES-4S. So we need to have an understanding of what it is. So ACCESS stands for Army Contracting Command's Enterprise for Sourcing Services, ACCESS. It's an IDIQ, Engineering, Scientific, and Technical Services, $37.4 billion. The previous iteration was called RS3. So don't look for ACCESS. Look for RS3 if you're looking under SAM or under GovWin. It's called RS3. It was the new one. The set aside for the new ACCESS is undetermined. This is the standalone ACCESS, not the one that is going to merge with ITES-4S. So the set aside is yet undetermined. The previous one had multiple awards, 40 small businesses and 16 large businesses. So overall, 56 awards were made under ACCESS. And contract duration obviously not specified yet, and we have to see if once they merge, how that is going to be. So in terms of the dates, latest RFI, April 17th again. So the same RFI appeared under ACCESS and ITES-4S. So same RFI, if you want to respond to that, you have until May 3rd. April 17th, 2024. Draft RFP is unknown. It's not clear. Full RFP, they've said maybe July 2024. But if that merger is going to go into place, I doubt it. This is going to slip. So the award date is May 2027. That's an estimate also. We'll have to see. Okay, so what are the task areas under ACCESS? One is engineering services. The second one is research, development, test, and evaluation, RDT and E. And then you have logistics services, acquisitions and strategic planning services, education and training services. So these are all. This is the old R3S, RS3. Sorry. RS3, so it was C4 ISR, it's now C5 obviously, but these are the names for the task areas under the previous iteration of ACCESS. Okay, in terms of spending, let's look at the spending of ACCESS. You can see that that has been growing as well, approximately $1.5 billion per year moving forward. So this has been a growing contract as well. You can see the number of orders have been growing as well. Between 2022 and 2023, there was a drop, but not a big drop. But you can see the value of the contracts has been growing steadily throughout these years. Okay, now in terms of the agencies that are using it, essentially it's used by the Army. DoD is using it very little, $203 million and Air Force $20 million only. So essentially it's a Army only contract, unlike ITES-4S or 3S, I should say. Unlike ITES-3S, which was, we saw that it was used by many agencies, even outside the DoD area. But here, the access contract, or R3S, RS3, is essentially used by the Army. In terms of socioeconomic category, you can see that essentially similar to ITES-3S, but more pronounced. Different socioeconomic categories did not get that many contracts. Small business, total small business, obviously $6.6 billion. So that's a large sum, but the specific socioeconomic categories, you can see that the value of the contracts is very low compared to the overall small business. Okay, and this is the top 20 contractors under access, or I should say under RS3. You can see there are different number of orders, and the value is listed here. Remember, there are 56 of them, so these are the first 20 in terms of the value of the contracts that they had. So, having said that, now we've covered ITES-4S, we've covered access, and we've seen the game changer RFI that says that they're going to be merging. So let's see, let's look at some of the recommendations that I have for you that might help you as we go along. So as far as your approach to these two opportunities is concerned, we are in the capture phase. So you need to spend time getting intel, as well as getting to know the implications of the merger of ITES-4S and access. So there are going to be a lot of implications, and these will emerge as we go along. So capture will play an important role as we move forward. And then you have to be prepared for both scenarios, both the merger of the two contracts and the non-merger of the two contracts, because at the end of the day, maybe there's an opposition somewhere in the government saying no, these should not be merged, so we will be facing separate ITES-4S and access. And you should be prepared. If that is the case, they might come out earlier than you expect. So be prepared for both scenarios so you don't lose any time or resources in that. As far as preparations are concerned, some of them I have listed here. Specifically, FedRAMP is being added to ITES-4S if it's going to go standalone, not merged. And I'm sure that if it's going to merge with access, we will still see a FedRAMP. So this is a security requirement. It's a certification. It has 3 different layers. Low, which is designed for cloud services handling controlled unclassified information, CUIs. Moderate, for cloud services dealing with more sensitive data, requires a more thorough assessment. And high, the most rigorous level, suited for cloud services handling highly sensitive or classified data. Now, considering the type of work that will be performed under ITES-4S and access, I think FedRAMP moderate and high will be those that will be required for any cloud services that we will be, those companies that will provide that sort of service. So if you are in that area, you need to be prepared for FedRAMP. Now, in the same line of thought, starting 2025, CMMC certification, which is again, cybersecurity certification in the government based on NIST, will be in place. And since this opportunity will go past 2025, you need to have certification, CMMC certification, and whether it is ITES-4S, an access merger, or even independently, you will need that certification. And since again, the type of work, the scope of work under both you will need the higher levels of certifications. Now, if you're not familiar with FedRAMP, or you're not familiar with CMMC or its certification, or you haven't started it, or you have started it but have questions, I personally wear two hats. One is capture, and the other is I'm an expert on cybersecurity. So we can provide free consultation sessions to you, and I can answer any questions that you might have under FedRAMP or CMMC certifications as a whole. So feel free to ask for a free consultation, and I can provide any help that I can do. Now, one other thing in terms of preparations is that you should start your teaming process, getting your team together. That is important. Even though we don't know, for example, how they're going to score, whether this is a self-scoring type and how teaming will play into it, or no, it's a standard traditional proposal writing. Again, what's the weight that they're going to give to a team? But as a whole, I think all companies should start working on this, on their teaming, and not leave it to the end for the last days. So these are the preparations that I do recommend for you to do. So start your capture, start gathering intel, see what the implications of the merger of ITES-4S and Access are, how it's going to affect your business, your specific services that you provide. Be prepared for both scenarios. So, you know, we might hit July and you'll see that the RFP or draft RFP of one of them drops. So be prepared, start the proposal process, or be prepared for the merger. And then those security preparations that I mentioned, plus the teaming process. So these were my recommendations. Now, how our company can help with this specific I will go into, but as a whole, our company, as far as RS3 is concerned, we had previously 3 wins on it, 4 wins, 3 small business, 1 large. And as far as ITES-3S is concerned, we had 7 wins on it, the previous one. 5 small businesses we helped win, and 2 large businesses we helped win. So we are very familiar with both opportunities, both vehicles, and we can help you on that. Here, the rest of this slide explains our capabilities, what our win rates were, have been, or number of wins in 2023. I will not go into detail of these. You can always refer to this if you download the slide deck and see our capabilities. Now, the specific support that we can provide you on both ITES-4S and Access separately, or if they merge, we provide free consultation, as I mentioned. We provide capture management. We provide full proposal development. So once the draft RFP drops, we can start preparation for the proposal. We put a dedicated proposal team for you, provide all the volumes, cradle to grave, and full and multiple reviews. And then some companies have their own proposal teams. What we provide is reviews, so perhaps pink, red, gold type of review services. If it turns out to be a self-scoring system, we are experts in self-scoring. For example, on Oasis Plus, we had 108 contracts doing different self-scoring proposals for our clients, and we are right now helping on Alliant 3 for a lot of clients. So again, depending on the type, we can always provide both review and full development, as well as a strategy consultation, which is we provide. So these are the different types of services that we provide towards ITES-4S and Access. As a whole, our company has 4 different divisions: proposal development, capture management, support services, and training. So we cover a full BD spectrum for government contractors. Under proposal development, We have eligibility and score assessment, so we do a lot of eligibility assessment before we even start the proposal for our clients. Full proposal development, reviews, and staff augmentation. Under capture management, we have dedicated capture management. These are the long-range capture, perhaps 1 year, 2 year. We usually do this for our large businesses and large clients. And then we have sourcing and qualification for smaller businesses. We find opportunities for them, qualify the opportunity, and let them know whether they want to participate in it or not. Support services such as competitive intelligence, black hat exercises, and price to win. These are specialties that we can provide usually towards large businesses. We just finished a large black hat exercise for one of the large contractors on a Air Force bid. So and then the training division provides both proposal and capture management services to our clients. So these are the services that GDI Consulting provides. I've also put in our contact information, my email and phone number. Usually that phone number will ring forever. You can leave messages, but if you want to communicate with me, communicate by email. But my colleague Maroon Freedy is our VP for business development. If you have any sales inquiries or you want that free consultation that I mentioned so that we can discuss, please communicate with Maroon, set up a time, we can jump on a call and discuss what your requirements are and how we can support you. So these are the information that you can use. Okay, having said that, let's start answering some of the questions that we have been receiving. Let me open up the question tab here. 1 minute. Okay, so wow, so many questions. Okay, let's start with the first one. Steve says, so if I understand correctly, you are saying that the Army is merging ITES and Access into one contract. Is that the case? And if so, what are the scopes? Yes, it seems that they're strongly considering that. So they're actually merging the two, or they said that, they probably will. They've not done it and might decide against it. That's why I said you have to be prepared for both scenarios. And no, they haven't issued anything other than this. So there's no new scope or anything like that. So we have to wait and see. Next question. Janet has a question, says, your graph shows that under Access, each year spending has been max 1.5 billion. If that is a 10-year contract, that would be $15 billion, which is way below the 37 billion budget. Okay, that's a good question, Janet. Yes, the Access contract, or RS3, has not been as active as the ITES-3S. Perhaps one reason could be that there is a lot of overlap under the requirements, and so some of the requirements were acquired through ITES-3S or other vehicles, and hence the lower spending under Access. Actually, I think one of the reasons behind the concentration of the merger could be this very overlap. Another is that, for example, more and more the government is trying to consolidate contracts. First, it started, consolidating contracts under IDIQs and MACs, like OSS Plus and things like that. And now it seems that they're consolidating different IDIQs into ones. So that's another reason. Okay, next question, Tom's question. If the RFP drops in 2024, do we still need to have CMMC certification? Well, you will need CMMC certification starting 2025 for any contracts that are awarded. And the award of these opportunities, whether solo or merged, will be after 2025. So yes, you need CMMC certification. And if you're not familiar with it, it's a lengthy process. So please start immediately. This is not just for these opportunities. Essentially, if you want to work with the government after 2025, you do need it. So you need to start, and as I said, it's a lengthy process, many months. It will take many months. You need to bring in third parties to actually help you, and then third parties to actually do the certification for you. So it's a lengthy process. Start as soon as possible. Okay, so let's see. Quite a lot of questions about our capture services and pricing and consultation. Please contact Maroon Freedy for that, to set up a call and discuss, and his contact information on the slide deck, so please download that. Next, okay, so Bill has written, do you think that if the merging of the two opportunity scopes goes through, they're still going to allow small businesses in different set-aside categories to participate? Yes, I think so, because each opportunity by itself has a good chunk of it set aside for small businesses. So even if they go through the merger, I'm sure that there will be a set aside spelled out for different types of small business categories. So I'm sure that that is the case. Let's look at Sheila's question. Okay, Sheila says, considering the possible merger, do you think they will exercise all the remaining option years and then award, which would be around 2027, or they might award sooner? Well, I think different factors play a role. For example, the merging will require quite a lot of overhaul for the contracting officers and procurement specialists to come up with a unified scope, for example, or requirements, or selection process. All of these have to be redone. Then you usually have protests. When a contract is as large as this one, say $49 billion, the combination of the two, you should expect a lot of protests, and that usually delays. And then consider that we are not at the draft RFP stage yet. We are at the RFI stage right now. So my personal take is that we'll see the proposal issuance probably in 2025, the full proposal I'm talking. And probably the earliest would be in 2026, and probably in 2027. So that's why earliest award I meant. So that's why we are really in the capture phase right now for these two opportunities, and might must make the best out of it. So just don't wait until the full RFP drops. A lot of work needs to be done during this capture phase. I'm sure you're aware of that. So, God, so many questions remain. So, I have answered some of these questions. I will go through the list, answer each and every remaining question, and respond by email. So I will not take more of your time. So with that, I and Cal, my AI assistant, will like to thank you for participating in this webinar. As I mentioned, please download the slide deck for future reference, or if you need our contact information. Thank you again for participating, and look forward to seeing you in our future webinars.